What up, HyperChange? Welcome to another episode. I'm here with Jay Filchi, Matt Joyce.
What up?
We are pumped. We just got back from the Autonomy Investor Day. I'm bad guest number 2 here.
Number 3.
Number 4.
I'm gonna retweet this video so the people on the great people of Twitter can join in with us right now. But we're gonna basically give you guys a recap of everything we thought from how the day went down, what our favorite part was. We ended up staying for like 2 hours afterward, talking to Pete Bannon, Andre Karpathy, Stuart Bauer, I think, the whole autonomy team, even Elon. We got to talk to him. It was just so much to cover. Anyway, so I'm gonna tweet this so other people can join, but we're gonna be looking for questions from you guys as well. All right, the tweet is live. So what up? So I guess I'll just give the start of the event. Started like incredibly technical. So who was the first guy that came up? Pete Bannon.
Hardware.
Pete Bannon, hardware.
Understood 5% of what he
Yeah, like even G Munster, who was sitting next to us, like asked a question, and at the end he was like, "I only understood 10% of that." So it was, and you can go back and watch the whole autonomy on Tesla's YouTube, but it was so like just incredibly technical and complex, and they were talking about the security and the redundancy and how there's 2 computers and like the frame rates and the processing and all of this stuff. And to be honest, I didn't understand that much of it, but the gist of it is, from the hardware side, is Tesla has built a custom chip from the ground up for its neural network for autonomy. This is very different from the status quo, which is what Tesla used to use, which is NVIDIA's chips, which are built for, I think, like graphical processing units. They're not even designed for AI, but everyone's repurposing them. And that's what every car company used. But now Tesla, 2 years ago, hired Pete Bannon from Apple, one of the most legendary chip designers in Silicon Valley, started building this fully self-driving chip from scratch. And now, as of March, it's in S and X, and as in April, it's in Model 3, and it's in production, and that's what we did the test drive in today. And so that was kind of the first part, was describing this new chip and computer that Tesla's built.
I think the best analogy of that too is like when you have the electric car, it's best when you build it from the ground up. When you take that to like the actual computer hardware and the computer chip, you're building it from the ground up to work with an electric vehicle, to work with the Tesla specifically for like autonomous conditions.
And that's what we were talking about earlier, is like Tesla's known for being vertically integrated on the electric vehicle side of things, but what they're doing is also vertically integrating the entire autonomy stack between full self-driving for hardware and software.
Yeah, and that was sort of the flow of the presentation, was we're going to take you through the stack of what we've developed. And to me, that was the biggest high-level takeaway of the event, is that Tesla is the only company who's developed a full vertically integrated autonomy stack. So they're building the chip, which is totally custom from the ground up, built to run the neural net software that Tesla's also developing, which is like the whole component that takes in all the images and learns and trains. And that was the second part of the presentation, which was who is that? Andre Karpathy, I think, who's like a Stanford professor.
My personal favorite part.
Neural net.
Yeah, and so what did you guys think about the neural net sort of software?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think all 3 of us had a really interesting conversation with him after.
Yeah,
it was like really cool to try and understand their perspective on, because Tesla's the only one basically going with the full like vision suite. I mean, my high level takeaways, they're literally trying to recreate like the human retina, but have
8 retinas.
8 retinas around the car.
Yeah, the most interesting thing to me when we were talking to him after the event was he said, even when he came over to Tesla, I believe straight from OpenAI, he said that he thought you could do everything with cameras and a neural network, given his understanding of like neural networks and machine learning and all that. So
Elon didn't convince him to go without LIDAR. This guy joined Tesla already with that kind of ingrained in like his beliefs.
The bottom line today was LIDAR got slammed hard.
Yeah, and this is the
big time.
Yeah, and shout out for the super chat, Steven. Also, but the biggest, that was my takeaway too, is this whole event was basically proving the technical prowess of Tesla's vision-based system, which is in contrast to every single other autonomy company. Waymo, Uber's group, Lyft's group, Byton, NIO. Every single company is leveraging this LIDAR technology. And actually, the biggest tidbit that Elon went on a mini rant on was that he's like, look, I use LIDAR for SpaceX landing rockets, which is what Matt told me on the podcast 2 weeks ago, and I'd never heard I'd never heard that tidbit anywhere. But this to me was fascinating, which was that the 3 rockets, like SpaceX is using cutting edge LIDAR, and Elon spearheaded that effort. So he's literally implementing one of the world's most cutting edge implementations of LIDAR. So he has this, like, to think through his understanding and think why it's not needed.
SpaceX built their sensors from the ground up too. He snuck that in there. So it's not like he's being ignorant to LiDAR and just trying to be contrarian. I think he really understands how it works and just fundamentally believes.
Yo, wait, we got a big super chat. Tell us about the ride. Left turns, $20 from Michael Davinsky. Shout out, Michael. Should we talk about the ride? We're skipping ahead. But that was at so at the end of it, this whole presentation, we did the test drive in the fully self-driving, which was with a car with the new fully self-driving computer with I don't know, what was a demo version of the autopilot software that was more hadn't been released yet, I guess.
Basically,
me and Gally went together and he went with Gene.
With Gerber.
So we had
Gerber was number 1. It was bro.
two different experiences. But I mean, from our perspective, I don't know. I like to go back. What was it? 8 months ago, Gally and I, we did a tour at the factory, and Martin, head of IR, took us out in a P3D. We ran around, did the highway, used autopilot, and it was like, all right, this is really cool. And this was just like a whole nother level. I mean, they were running a demo software on
we tried to film. We weren't allowed to film it, but
and it like you could see the software at work, like predicting where the car should go, like identifying the lanes, identifying pedestrians, identifying trees on the side of the road,
identifying distance for each object.
Yeah.
Like
the accuracy to me was the thing, because I've seen a lot of videos online of Tesla's demo, like the boxes that follow the cars, the number with how many meters away you're. But this time, the dots for every pedestrian was perfectly on point. The vehicle boxes were just you could see what the vision system was seeing, and it was. I was just incredibly impressed with how much better it was from 8 months ago. We were literally driving around with the car. I don't even think the guy touched the steering wheel once. We went on a 15-minute drive on streets on the highway from Tesla HQ and back on a 20-minute drive, and the guy touched the steering wheel once for 2 seconds. So when Elon says that fully self-driving is this year and a year away potentially, you really believe that when you're actually sitting in the car and it's driving itself.
And allegedly, that was only 3 months of development and testing
from off highway.
Yeah,
for
city driving.
3 months of neural network training on city driving.
Yeah, and whoever said streetlights and stoplights, that was super impressive.
Yeah.
There was always a speed limit sign showing that it knew the speed limit. When it was at a light, it had a little light in the corner showing that it was red. When it turned green, it noticed stop signs and then stopped and then went and did a left turn in this big intersection.
Handled cues with other drivers.
Complex traffic situations.
The only time that in our ride that there was an intervention was we were pulling up to a red light, and it was a 1-lane street that then forked into three different lanes. It was a straight only lane, a left turn lane, and a right turn lane. And we needed to make the left, and it obviously identified the red light, but it kind of freaked out as it was trying to get into that left lane and binged for the intervention. But besides that, it ran perfectly. Merging on traffic, complex highway on-ramp where you have merging from both sides to get on eventually to the highway.
And it would change lanes to when you need to exit. I mean,
yeah, my demo didn't have any human interaction for 15 minutes. And what was really interesting is that if we needed to take a left turn at the light and it's got 3 lanes, it was veering hard to the left to go into the left turn lane automatically, and then stopping at the stoplight and then going and making that left. So stuff like that was super impressive. And since we weren't allowed to record the demo in any way, just to kind of describe what we witnessed. Basically, when you put your Model 3, I was in Model 3 anyways, when you put your Model 3 into reverse, you get that big camera image of the backup cam. So it was basically that, but all 8 cameras around the vehicle, and all you would is have to swipe to see different camera angles. So during the trip, if you wanted to see how it was interacting and identifying things to the side of you, you could just swipe and see the different camera angles, and it was amazing at accurately identifying distance as well. So it was crazy impressive.
I mean, one thing to point out though is that is a Tesla internal software, and they told us that when this does go to the public, you're not going to have the ability to to swipe through all the cameras and see
you're not going to be able to
what's
see what
working
the
behind the
sees.
scenes.
Yeah. Although what's impressive about the system, and what I think Elon touched on the Lex Fridman podcast, is the point of the screen is to show you what the neural network is thinking and how its perception of reality is, so you can double check its perception of reality with reality. And so I don't know if they'll show that screen, but I think that they'll double down on that, and that to me makes me feel so comfortable, because you're in the car, I don't own a Tesla, I'm not used to doing autopilot, it's literally driving itself, you're feeling very, it's an uncomfortable feeling at first, because you're are we gonna crash? But then once you start seeing how it sees everything and how well it's tracking everything, at least for me personally, that was a huge confidence boost of this system is literally my two eyes, but it has 8 of them, and it's tracking everything perfectly all at once, always paying attention.
Especially at stop signs, or a stop sign then merging onto a 35-mile-an-hour road, or taking a left onto it.
Yeah.
And you could just kind of see the cars that it's tracking.
And let's talk about the Tesla network, because this is the huge business opportunity about why they had this event and what they want to roll into the thesis of Tesla, and why I titled this, I Believe in Tesla's Autonomy Now. Because I've been a critic of when's the Tesla network going to launch? Self-driving so far away. But this event to me, struck home that Tesla's strategy of vertical integration on the autonomy stack is miles ahead of the competition. I mean, just an example, I've been mentioned this before, which was the degrees they turn the steering wheel when you brake. These are things that Tesla has a granularity of data by the second of what you're doing, and they mentioned this in the presentation. Uber doesn't have that granularity of data because they're not the auto OEM. So Elon compares this to Google. Think about Google. You're constantly using humans to train the AI, and that humans inputting search queries is training the neural network. You driving your Tesla is training the neural network of Tesla.
They're automating that labeling aspect.
Yeah.
But my whole point is the fleet, what I'm trying to get to is the fleet of Tesla is a huge asset. And they, this whole concept of we can turn on everything with a switch. Every car is fully self-driving enabled already, really hits home. What's this guy? Super chat. What do the other investors think? Thank you, Swad. Yeah, tricky name. I don't know. I think everyone was pumped. I'm honestly blown away the stock. I'm going to buy stock tomorrow if it doesn't move, so I don't know what other investors would be thinking, but that was my 2 cents.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe some investors probably took Elon's timelines with a grain of salt. I mean,
I think we all should, probably.
Yeah, and we all should. I mean, 2020 seems fairly aggressive.
Well, you should lay out what his timelines were for the fully self-driving.
Oh yeah, FSD feature complete by the end of the year, so it's
the tech will be ready.
The
by
tech
the end
will
of
be
this
ready,
year.
and then actual FSD or Tesla, the robo-taxi sometime in 2020. I mean, I think a lot of it's still going to have to do with regulation, but I think an interesting point Elon made on stage was regulators, they like to see data, and there's no one who has more data than Tesla. So for an example, the lane change thing, Tesla can pull up that they do, 100,000 lane changes a day.
And they had 0 crashes for the new Navigate on autopilot
features.
Or 0 accidents.
So it's just little anecdotes like that and pieces of data like that I think they could, especially since they have this strategy of going incremental, incrementally improving. Oh, we can now do lane changes. Here's all the data for lane changes. Oh, we could do highway off-ramps. Here's how many off-ramp interchanges we've done.
Yeah.
And I think one of the questions that I asked to a few people, including Andre, there's 20 or 30 other companies that are attacking this self-driving challenge, and every single one of them uses LIDAR in their sensor suite. And I was curious, why has not one single company tried to follow or copy Tesla's technical strategy?
LIDAR is a stopgap.
And what I got is that in order to do Tesla's technical strategy, you need that giant fleet on the road. if you just have one vehicle, it's a lot easier to use LIDAR and basically do a self-driving demo and then raise a bunch of money.
Yeah. And that's what's crazy about Tesla's business model is you appreciate the whole simulation thing. They really stressed about how a simulation isn't the real world when training a neural net. And then you realize that Tesla has this situation where people are paying Tesla to buy their products and drive them and train their neural net. Every other competitor, like we're in San Francisco, Cruise. Last night we saw 4 Cruise cars driving around with 2 engineers in the car. They have to buy the car, they have to put the LiDAR on it, they have to pay the engineers to sit in the car. I mean, Tesla's having consumers pay them to train their neural net. Every other company's paying hundreds of thousands for these fancy cars to train. Like, it's so inefficient compared to Tesla's method.
And then assume each company gets to full self-driving technology, basically. The difference in capital investment for each strategy. For Tesla, for cruise automation, they would have to build EVs at scale with these sensor suites and then roll them out essentially globally. Versus Tesla, they have Tesla owners with hardware 2 and above that can be upgraded, or 2.5?
2.5 or 2.
I remember it more by the date. It's October 2016.
Yeah, so
October 2016.
Every Tesla created after October 2016 can get retrofitted with hardware 3 and then a software update to enable full self-driving, and that's globally. So then whatever ride-sharing demand... What?
Yeah, they just confirmed
it. 2.0 and above.
Thank you.
So whatever ride-sharing demand is not satisfied by the supply of Tesla owners in a certain market can be supplemented by Tesla's own fleet. And that's a fraction of the total vehicles. I mean, I think he said globally they eventually want to have like 10 million on the road. But still, the amount of capital required to execute Tesla's full self-driving plan compared to everyone else's is a huge differentiator as well.
Yeah, and the cost, and the other thing I want to touch on is just how big of a disruption this is. Like Elon's analogy of like, if you buy another car today, you're basically buying a horse, which sounds extreme, but like this whole value proposition, and they put a ton of numbers on the screen at the end of this presentation of like, we are building the cars for 1 million miles of life. We're tweaking the wheels, the design for everything for 1 million miles of life. And the robo taxis, a standard range Model 3 that is retailing for 39 grand. Yeah, standard plus could be generating $30,000 per year in cash flow is their estimate. And so I don't even know if that's close to right, but that's kind of the math I've been thinking and ARC has been thinking of, you know, cars going from transportation as a service and you being able to utilize them, you know, 50% of the time versus 5% of the time. The value of this asset is, you know, what a car is changing.
And the cost per mile is drastically lower than Uber or Lyft.
And the problem that they're attacking is basically vehicle utilization right now is about 5%. So 95% of the time, vehicles are parked. And that is not poor utilization of a rapidly depreciating asset, at least in the past before self-driving, is a big problem. So this is just using assets that you've paid a lot of money up front to purchase.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's crazy. And I don't know, anything else you guys want to touch on? Or one thing that really stuck out to me was like the team and the vibe. I don't know if this is good concrete research or not, but like just seeing the Tesla team, like seeing each part of the autopilot team present, hearing their backgrounds, and then after speaking to them, like I think these are really people that are like the smartest in the world that are leading their field. I mean, Pete Bannon, we talked to him about, you know, why would you leave Apple to join Tesla? And it's just like the challenge is so new and exciting. And like this neural net chip is the first of its kind, and it's going to unlock one of the biggest disruptions of the 21st century, which is autonomous cars. And so just to me, the scope of how far Tesla is ahead, how big this disruption is, really hit me today. And I think that is something that, you know, we hear Waymo 175B, Uber 120B. You know, I've never ridden in their self-driving demos, but Tesla, we rode in today, and the car is pretty much driving itself, and like it works. And like
on 3 months of training.
And so, and you just start to extrapolate how many more cars are on the road, how much more processing power the new FSD computer has, how that unlocks more powerful algorithms that can train themselves faster. Like what you were saying, Matt, this isn't an S curve of production. This is an exponential curve of how good this self-driving technology gets.
Yeah, it's a lot of things coming together. So you've got the hardware processing capability. So you've got going from like, what did they say, 110 frames per second to 2300 frames per second.
Yeah.
So that's the hardware processing capability. Then you have, as more and more vehicles get on the road, you get more and more data, more and more real world miles driven. That's going exponential. And then you've got the neural net expanding and also going exponential. And all those things are merging. And that's where I think these people that are predicting like 15 years, which is a lot of smart people are saying this, are maybe underestimating this exponential curve. And another interesting thing, maybe go over like the questions, but I was pumped when you got to ask about the snake charger, because we haven't known for years if that concept is still alive or dead.
Yeah, the snake charger. Actually, I don't want to address the super chat, which is something about Uber and Lyft buying. Tesla fully self-driving as a subscription. I think that's a dope idea, and they should do that. Like Tesla Network as a service. But the other thing, Uber and Lyft buying a bunch of these, like Tesla is not going to let their autonomy software be used for Uber and Lyft.
It'll only work on the Tesla
Only
network.
work on the Tesla network. And like, even if they do it, like Tesla will still be getting a huge cut. So to me, it's like, I don't care.
25 to 30%.
I think
Tesla's cut on the network. That's what he said today.
Yeah. And Elon said something else, like owners out there for the past couple years have already signed something that they can only use their cars on Tesla Autonomy Network. So it's definitely clear they don't want to partner with a rideshare.
Yeah, and if you read the master plan part 2, they say that like we will not allow this to be used on other ride-sharing platforms. So Tesla today wants to, I mean, the claims that were made from Elon about how LIDAR is like lame and a joke, like this is huge. Every other company, Uber just raised $1 billion at $7 billion valuation just for their self-driving round, just to, prove that they're winning. And their entire foundation is built on LIDAR, this technology that could potentially be absolutely worthless. I mean, if Elon is right, and every single company is investing in LIDAR, and Tesla's the only one who's like, this is the question.
He described it in layman's terms as basically LIDAR is a useless appendage. That's what he said.
Let's get to some of these.
Yeah.
What up, HyperChange? Thanks for the work. And sick stash, Julian. What do you think?
Shout out. Thanks.
Oh, what is the best way for Tesla to educate remaining consumers? I mean, to me, I just think they should show a YouTube video of people just driving. Like, I don't know, of the car driving itself. Like, that's enough of a viral,
I also think like the community is just doing its job.
I mean, Matt, you're letting people rent your car on Turo.
Yeah, Matt has a Model 3. He rents it to Turo.
People just being open to taking friends and family out on drives, letting them test drive it.
Yeah, people.
I mean, it is definitely going to be an educational challenge to shift the mindset of the consumer from early adopter to mainstream, and hopefully Tesla's kind of working on those things.
I mean, how about, would you like to go to your friend's house in an Uber or pay half the price for an autonomous electric taxi that's not polluting? I mean, it's just a like when you boil this down to what it is, it's like, you think Uber's awesome now? Imagine if they slash prices 50%. That's what the Tesla network wants to do, but their margins are going to be actually immensely profitable. And this is another tidbit that Elon mentioned, is they want to be cash flow break even until this Tesla network launches in Q4. And the basis of that is he basically said we're Amazon 2.0. Like, it's smartest and rational for us to put every single dollar of cash flow into expanding the fleet as fast as possible. Yeah. And the second we turn that fleet on, we're going to be immensely cash flow positive. So this is huge. This is a game changer, because this is sort of Tesla's last puzzle piece of a mature, extremely profitable business model. To me, at least, I think is coming way sooner. Like, I ran a poll on Twitter that was, when's the Tesla network going to launch? And you guys said 2023 plus. Got like 55% of the votes. Elon today is saying Q4 2020. Let's add a year on that. Like,
we'll take the average.
Did you guys see the Tesla network demo app today?
Oh, that they flashed on the screen. Did you guys?
No, dude. I saw, me and Gene were talking to the people. You had already left, so we were the second card, me and Munster, and he was showing me the working Tesla network demo app.
Oh, is that what they were using to summon the cars?
Yeah, so you could literally.
I thought they were just using enhanced summon.
No, you could choose Model S, X, or 3, and then if you clicked on Model 3, all the available Model 3s would pop up on the navigation app, and then you could choose one and hit summon, and that thing pulls out of its parking space and comes around the corner to you. This was, I was like, wait a minute, I thought that was just like a
dude, it was crazy
of what it might look like, but this
Sean
was a
Mitchell!
real working demo.
Woo!
What up, Sean?
FSD is cash money. Yeah, no, but sorry, I had to give a shout out.
Yeah.
No, dude, it was crazy.
I got to see the demo app, and I could not believe. I was like, wait, is this just like a demo, or is this thing like actually functioning?
Yeah, that's what
and
I
it was
thought.
Functioning.
Because if you look, if you
like the car part, like they were like, yo, we're gonna get you guys in the ride, like that's your car, and then it was like, what? And it's like pulling out of the parking spot and like starts like turning and like driving over, and there's no one in it, and you're just like, what?
But it was
like,
also like from the videos that I've seen on YouTube for early adopters or early access people who already have enhanced summon, this was way smoother and way faster, and like because I've seen some videos where they come out of the spot and then they're kind of crawling around, turning. This was like looked like a much normal, natural trajectory to come pick us up.
And actually, someone just had a good question on the timelines, which I think are too optimistic. It's Elon time. Let's adjust for that. Yeah. But the question he dodged a couple times, which I hate Wall Street analysts, but they did have a couple of them were kind of annoying, and we're like, well, have you been talking to regulators about this? Like, this is pretty soon. Like, and they didn't actually address that straight up. Do you guys have any comments on that? Because
I mean, they're obviously going to have to talk to regulators at some point, and I think there's going to be some cities that allow it before others.
They want to keep liability in the Tesla driver's hands as long as possible until this thing is like rock solid.
Yeah, so basically. It's like, you know,
so hey, make sure that it's
Phoenix, Arizona is going to allow it before downtown San Francisco.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and one of the craziest things is that it's about data, right? That's what Elon said. And so they've already started to put out their autonomy data each quarter. And so that is they've done that for 3 quarters. So that's the start of them putting out data to make proof that this is safer than, you know, humans driving. So I think watching that data, watching how regulators interact with that data will be the key to when this actually, you know, gets approval. And you wanted to say something, Matt, about the snake chargers, which I asked Elon about, which they said it sounds like a really easy thing that they're still 100% planning to do, but they've kind of just like, it's on the back burner till the network gets ready. Like, why are you so on one about the snake chargers?
Well, it's just an important piece. If you
and that's like the automated charger for those who don't know.
But that's where I disagree with you.
Plugged in.
Because
I haven't even said what I think yet.
All right. Finish your statement.
So if you solve full self-driving, then the vehicle utilization rates are going to go from 5% to the vast majority of the time, which is awesome. But in order to do that, you need the vehicle to be, what are you going to do? Have the car go to a supercharger station and have a human there just plugging and unplugging?
Yeah.
Until the snake charger works. That's what they're going to do.
You can
Me and Julian were saying that. Like, one guy, $10 an hour, he's running hundreds of cars.
I was talking to Andre Carpathy, and he was straight up saying, like, that problem is not difficult. It's basically just using vision to plug the charger into the vehicle. And I asked, how easy is it to retrofit supercharger stations? Because if it's gonna be approved by regulators, an actual full self-driving Tesla network by the end of next year, I think that autonomous snake charger piece is important, along with getting in and out of garages. So my Model 3 right now, you hit the summon button reverse one time, one click button. It backs up, it senses the garage door, it triggers the garage door to pull up, pulls out, and closes the garage door. And right now, that's just a kind of a cool little conversation piece.
If it was plugged in, you couldn't do that.
Well, it needs to be able to unplug itself and get out of the garage.
It's these final pieces. If the Tesla network is to be like the holy grail, all you do is open the Tesla app, push a button and say, go make me money. Go pick people up, drop them off, charge, come back.
Which means
you need to get, if you're not at your house, you need to be able to hit that button. It needs to get out of your garage, open the garage door, close it behind you, and then go pick people up, and then go to a supercharger station, charge itself, and then return back to the garage. So those two pieces are important, albeit small right now.
So how big is this business going to be? Someone give a super chat. Love the enthusiasm. Thank you. We back, Tesla. I'm curious. I kind of want to wrap it up. We've been live for 30 minutes, so I'm curious, like, maybe Jay Filchi, we'll start with you. What's like
Getting put on the spot.
Yeah. But like what what did you learn about the business today that's different? Did you get more pumped? What do you think about Tesla? Are they really a leader in autonomy?
I got pumped mostly because we got to ask some of the harder questions one-on-one, like how are you going to train like the neural net to fix all these edge cases? Why does that give you an advantage over LIDAR? I mean, really it comes down to like, if Tesla wins using like the vision thesis, then and the no LIDAR thesis, I mean, this is going to be huge. They're going to be years and years and years ahead of anyone else because they're the only ones who have the ability to amass all the data to make it work.
Yeah, and that
so, I mean,
is a huge business
that's a huge
opportunity.
component. And what I will say, all in all, my sentiment or I guess I'm more confident that there is a possibility that their thesis works out and no LIDAR is needed.
Yeah. Actually, wait. Let's do some Q&A because we got some questions come in. If Elon can dock a spaceship, they can dock a charger. Agreed.
Yeah.
Awesome one.
Totally.
Trying to keep up with Galley stock shares, so invested in more stock today. Buying stock until the pickup comes out. Brian, good luck. We're pumped about the pickup too. Why would the Tesla network use superchargers available to the public? Would they have private charging points not to impact users? My guess is once Tesla starts, they want to deploy their own cars as well, which I think is an interesting component. Like if there's a city where not enough people to supplement. So they'll be like not a personal owned one. It'll be Tesla's own fleet. And so, yeah. Wait, I already forgot the question. So I think they're gonna have mega charging, and this is kind of what I kind of said in the Lyft episode. Is like you'll probably have like something kind of in like a weird industrial zone of the city where there's a bunch of snake chargers, and that's like
kind of where like all the metro buses.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking. Like, yeah. But anyway, Matt, what do you think? What's your 2 cents? Sum up of the event.
Yeah, I've been saying the biggest question for who wins this holy grail autonomous ride-sharing network, it's all about, is LIDAR necessary for level 5 autonomy? Completely automated, taking the driver out of the situation. And it sounds like their confidence is sky high that you can just do it with that camera, radar, ultrasonic sensor suite, and all the data and machine learning, expanded neural network, better hardware processing capability. And I'm a believer, and the market is not pricing that in. They are not a believer, at least before today. So I just think as more and more progress happens, that the value investors have assigned to various Tesla competitors for their autonomy opportunity is going to be slowly sucked up by Tesla's market cap.
Yeah. Love it.
I mean, Uber was just valued, Uber's self-driving unit, which they may or may not plan to spin out, just got $1 billion from SoftBank at an $8-ish billion valuation. That we assume is fairly depressed because they have a huge lawsuit liability just given the IP that they may or may not have stolen.
But that shows how much this opportunity is worth, right?
And Elon straight up said, like, if you're doing geo-fenced ideal weather conditions, like, that's not true self-driving. That's not an autonomous general solution.
Yeah.
Shout out to all the super chat people. You're awesome. But I guess the reason, what my big takeaway was that this disruption of like cars buying today are horses. Like luckily got to talk to Elon after the event a little bit, and I told him that his quote, like I've had this vision of like in 50 years, we're going to watch the Elon Musk Lex Fridman interview where he says that buying a car today without autonomy is like buying a horse. And it's just so crystal clear. Like they have the hardware, they're doing the neural nets. You can run autopilot today. It's improving so quickly. And this is a disruption that you can try and make analogies and metaphors of, oh, it's the Apple of the automotive world, or this is going to happen, or that's going to happen. But the bottom line is, like, we're pioneering into a new future where cars can drive themselves. The entire way cities are designed today is around parking lots and cars in driving, and all of that is changing and getting more efficient, which means we can change how cities are designed. So like the high level disruption, like Elon even said, like solving the autonomy problem, if we were in a simulation and getting more people to make the transportation more efficient, would like increase the economic output of the simulation by so much. And this is, I just think the biggest disruption I can think of in this decade or the next decade will be self-driving cars. Totally. And the company that does it, it's really hard to wrap your head around how much value that will create. But, I just think I think zero value is being placed on it today. Tesla's years ahead. And that was really what I was like cemented on today.
Yeah, I mean, what Uber's done is really impressive. They are an incredible logistics app, but the difficulty of what Tesla is trying to execute, just every single piece of the puzzle versus just like an amazing logistics
like
app.
The vertically integrated autonomy suite. No one is doing that. And no one is getting customers to subsidize the cost of that vertically integrated autonomy suite.
They stole.
Custom hardware supercomputer, you got supercharger network, electric vehicles at scale from
fleet
the ground
of 500,000
up.
cars, which costs billions of capex to deploy if you don't have customers subsidizing it. I mean, it's
one other thing too that people, I think, flies under the radar is Tesla also has a simulation. So LIDAR.
They showed us that,
which is also supplemental.
Which is just supplemental to just kind of tracking how people drive.
It helps. He said it helps, but you cannot replace real world driving
for all the edge
cases
cases
with simulated.
The last 1%.
And he made a joke. He said, here's the analogy, like if you were able to accurately simulate the real world with simulations, then that proves that we're in a simulation.
Yeah.
I mean,
had to throw a simulation joke in there.
Had to.
But honestly, I also want to end the video by giving a big shout out to Martin, the head of IR, and Elon, and just the Tesla team, because I've been a little critical of them for their communication in the past, and like I feel like I was a little too harsh, and I just commend them today because I think they really listen, and they haven't gotten enough credit for the autonomy thesis, and for them to put on this event, show investors the future, and really like take away the veil, is what Martin said at the beginning, to show us what they've been working on, I think was totally the right move. And like I love the presentation and just like the access they gave, the way they opened it up, the way they showed their vision. Like this is the Tesla I wanted to see, and I just think the IR strategy is killing it. And I shout out to Martin, shout out to Elon, shout out to Tesla for executing that, because I think this is to me, that's what I told Elon, was like, dude, I think this is the moment where people realize that I personally only value Tesla and the disruption of electric vehicles and batteries and grid storage, but now I'm starting to appreciate the technological disruption and opportunity of autonomy.
I think people forget batteries and grid storage.
They do, but that's a whole other live stream, bro. Anyway, we're signing off. You guys have any last words?
Peace out, HyperChange.
Peace out, HyperChange.
Peace out, HyperChange.
What up, HyperChange?
Thank you guys for tuning in.